Forget the image of the floating baby with tiny wings or the glowing human in a white robe standing quietly in the corner of a painting. If you actually encountered a biblical angel in its true, unfiltered form, the very first thing it would have to say to you is do not be afraid, because your natural instinct would be to fall flat on your face in absolute terror. The celestial hierarchy described in the Bible is not a collection of gentle protectors. It is a complex, terrifying, and awe-inspiring military and administrative force of the Creator. We are talking about beings made of living fire, entities with 4 faces and eyes covering every inch of their bodies, and cosmic guardians so powerful they can dismantle entire empires in a single night. Today we are pulling back the curtain on the unseen realms. We are explaining every type of angel mentioned in the scriptures, from the burning seraphim at the throne to the warring archangels in the second heaven and the mysterious messengers who walk among us undetected. If you thought you knew what an angel was, get ready to have your perspective completely shattered by the ancient reality of the word. To understand the angelic host, we have to start at the absolute top of the hierarchy, the seraphim. These beings are mentioned specifically in the vision of the prophet Isaiah, and their name literally means the burning ones. They are the closest beings to the manifest presence of the Creator. Imagine creatures with 6 wings. With 2 wings, they cover their faces because even these holy beings cannot look directly upon the full intensity of the divine glory. With 2 wings, they cover their feet as a sign of humility and reverence. And with the final 2, they fly. They don't just sit around, they are in constant motion, circling the throne and crying out, "Holy, holy, holy." They are described as being made of or surrounded by fire. This isn't just a metaphor for zeal. It is a description of their substance. They are the guardians of the sacredness of the throne room. When one of them touches Isaiah's lips with a coal from the altar, it isn't to hurt him, but to purify him. The seraphim represent the absolute intensity of service. They are the high priests of the celestial realm, and their entire existence is a burning sacrifice of praise. Just below the seraphim, we find the cherubim. Now, this is where most people get the biggest shock. In modern culture, we think of cherubs as chubby little infants, but the biblical cherubim are the heavy hitters of the spiritual world. They are the throne bearers and the palace guards. When humanity was removed from the Garden of Eden, it wasn't a gentle spirit that was placed at the gate. It was a cherub wielding a flaming sword that turned every way. In the visions of Ezekiel, the cherubim are described in terrifying detail. Each one has 4 faces: the face of a human, a lion, an ox, and an eagle. They move with the speed of lightning, and their wings sound like the roar of a massive waterfall or the noise of a rushing army. They are covered in eyes, symbolizing their absolute vigilance. They don't turn when they move. They go straight forward in whatever direction the Spirit leads. These are the beings that support the very chariot of the Creator. They represent the fullness of creation, the intelligence of man, the strength of the ox, the courage of the lion, and the soaring vision of the eagle. They are the ultimate symbols of divine sovereignty over the physical and spiritual worlds. Then we encounter one of the most mysterious and frankly bizarre types of angels, the ophanim, often referred to as the wheels. Ezekiel describes them as wheels within wheels, their rims high and awesome, and completely full of eyes. They move alongside the cherubim, and the spirit of the living creatures is said to be in the wheels. While the seraphim are about worship and the cherubim are about guarding, the ophanim seem to be about the transport of the divine presence. They represent the idea that the Creator is not stationary. His throne is a chariot that can move through every dimension of existence. The ophanim are the wheels of that chariot. They are living, sentient manifestations of divine mobility. The sheer geometric complexity of their description suggests that they exist in more than 3 dimensions, appearing to our limited human sight as interlocking rings of light and vision. When you think of a wheel within a wheel, you are looking at the ancient world's attempt to describe a cosmic mechanism that defies earthly physics. As we move further down the hierarchy, we reach the archangels. The prefix arch means chief or primary, indicating that these are the generals of the angelic army. While various traditions list 7 archangels, the Bible explicitly names only a few, most notably Michael and Gabriel. Michael is the warrior. He is the prince of the people of Israel and the leader of the heavenly host in the battle against the dragon in the book of Revelation. He is the enforcer of divine justice and the protector of the faithful. Gabriel, on the other hand, is the supreme messenger. He is the one who explains the visions to Daniel and announces the coming of the Messiah to Mary. While Michael deals with the defense of the kingdom, Gabriel deals with the communication of the plan. Both are beings of incredible power, but their roles show that the angelic realm is highly organized. There is a chain of command, a division of labor, and a specific focus for every high-ranking celestial being. They aren't just floating around. They are on assignment. Next, we have the general class known simply as Malachim, which is the Hebrew word for messengers. This is the origin of our English word angel. This group is the most active in human affairs. They are the ones who appear to Abraham, who rescue Lot from the falling cities, and who announce the birth in the manger to the shepherds. One of the most fascinating aspects of these messengers is their ability to manifest in a form that looks entirely human. In the book of Hebrews, we are warned to be hospitable to strangers because some have entertained angels unawares. This means that a malach has the capacity to dial down their celestial glory to the point where they can walk down a dusty road, sit at a table, and eat a meal without triggering a panic. They are the intermediaries, the boots on the ground for the kingdom of heaven. Their appearance can range from a man in shining garments to a traveler in common rags, depending on the nature of their mission. But we also have to talk about the darker side of the celestial population. The Bible speaks of the Watchers. This term is most prominent in the book of Daniel, where they are described as holy ones who come down from heaven to deliver decrees. However, in wider biblical tradition and the related ancient texts like Enoch, the Watchers are a specific class of angels tasked with observing humanity. The tragedy of the Watchers is that some of them chose to abandon their post. These are the fallen ones who interfered with the human line, leading to the corruption of the ancient world. The concept of a Watcher is a reminder that angels have a form of agency and responsibility. They aren't just robots. They are sentient beings who are held to an incredibly high standard of conduct, and their reports are used in the courts of heaven. Moving into the New Testament, the Apostle Paul gives us a different way of categorizing the angelic world. He speaks of thrones, dominions, principalities, and powers. While these terms can also refer to human governments, in the context of Paul's letters, they clearly describe levels of spiritual authority. Thrones and dominions are thought to be higher-level angels who manage the cosmic order and the laws of the universe. They are the administrators of the celestial realms. Principalities and powers are often used in the context of spiritual warfare. Paul tells us that our struggle isn't against flesh and blood, but against these high-ranking spiritual entities that occupy regions and influence the hearts of nations. This suggests that the angelic world isn't just a list of individuals, but a vast, interconnected bureaucracy of influence. There are angels over nations, angels over cities, and perhaps even angels over specific elements of nature. It is a world of incredible structure and order. One of the most unique figures in the Bible is the one referred to as the angel of the Lord. This isn't just any messenger. This character appears in the Old Testament with a level of authority that is indistinguishable from the Creator himself. When the angel of the Lord speaks to Hagar, or Moses, or Gideon, he often switches from referring to the divine in the third person to speaking in the first person. People who encounter him often realize afterward that they have seen a manifestation of the divine presence face to face. Many theologians believe that the angel of the Lord is a pre-incarnate appearance of the Messiah, the Word acting as a bridge between the eternal spirit and the physical world. He is the commander of the Lord's army who stood before Joshua with a drawn sword. He is the ultimate representative of heavenly authority, the visible manifestation of the invisible power. We also have the category of the living creatures, which we see in the throne room scenes of Revelation. These are very similar to the cherubim of Ezekiel, but with some key differences. They are described as having 6 wings like the seraphim, but the 4 faces of the cherubim. They are full of eyes around and within. Their function is unceasing worship, but they also act as the announcers of the judgments that come from the scrolls. They represent the voice of the natural world and the spiritual world combined. When they give glory, the 24 elders fall down in worship. This shows that there is a hierarchy even among the worshipers. The living creatures act as the lead vocalists in the cosmic choir, setting the pace for the entire assembly of heaven. Let's not forget the guardian angels. While the specific term guardian angel isn't used as a title, the concept is woven throughout the text. The Messiah mentions that the angels of the little children always behold the face of the Father in heaven. The book of Psalms says that he will give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. This implies that there are specific angels assigned to protect, guide, and intercede for individuals. This isn't a fairy tale. It is a spiritual defensive measure. These angels operate mostly in the shadows, nudging us away from danger, whispering to our spirits in moments of crisis, and fighting battles on our behalf that we don't even know are happening. They are the silent partners in our spiritual journey, tasked with ensuring that we reach our ultimate destination. The Bible also mentions the concept of the angels of the 7 churches in the book of Revelation. Each letter to a church is addressed to the angel of that church. There is a lot of debate among scholars about whether this refers to a literal celestial being assigned to oversee a congregation or a human leader. However, given the highly symbolic and spiritual nature of Revelation, many believe that every true assembly of the faithful has a corresponding spiritual representative in the heavenly realms. This angel carries the responsibility for the spiritual health and the lampstand of that community. It reinforces the idea that nothing in the physical world happens in isolation. There is a spiritual counterpart to every physical reality. Another fascinating type of angel is the one described as having great authority to bind and loose. We see an angel coming down from heaven with a great chain and a key to the abyss. This is a specialized function. Some angels are hunters, some are jailers, and some are executioners of divine decrees. When the high-ranking official of the king of Assyria threatened Jerusalem, the Bible says a single angel went out and dismantled the entire camp in one night. This shows that the power of even a single angel is far beyond any human military capability. They are the supreme enforcers of the will of the king. They don't need weapons of iron. They operate on a level of reality where a word or a thought can change the physical world. Why does the Bible go into such detail about these beings? It's not just to give us cool imagery for movies. It is to remind us of the scale of the universe we live in. We often feel like we are alone, fighting our battles on a small, isolated rock. The explanation of the angelic types reminds us that we are part of a vast, teeming, and highly organized cosmic community. There is a world of light that is much more real and much more permanent than the world of shadows we see with our eyes. The seraphim reminds us of the intensity of worship. The cherubim reminds us of the sanctity of the presence. The archangels remind us that the victory is already managed from the top down. The angelic world also serves as a mirror for our own destiny. The Bible says that in the resurrection, we will be like the angels. Not that we will become angels, but that we will share in their nature of immortality and unhindered service. We are currently made a little lower than the angels, but the plan is for us to eventually judge angels and rule alongside the Messiah. Understanding the different types of angels gives us a glimpse into the kind of life and authority we are being prepared for. It's like a cadet looking at the generals. It shows what is possible when a creature is fully aligned with the will of the Creator. It is also important to understand the wings. In the Bible, wings are almost always a sign of speed and the ability to move through different dimensions. They aren't necessarily for aerodynamics. They are for spiritual transit. The number of wings often correlates with the proximity to the throne. The seraphim and the living creatures have 6, the cherubim have 4, and the malachim often appear with none at all when they are in human form. It is a visual code for their rank and their primary function. The more wings, the more the being is focused on the internal life of the throne room. The fewer wings, the more they are focused on the external missions in the physical world. The eyes are another crucial symbol. When a being is covered in eyes, it represents absolute intelligence and awareness. Nothing is hidden from the angelic host. They aren't just powerful, they are informed. They see the past, they understand the present, and they are aligned with the future. This is why their judgments are so precise. They don't have to guess or gather evidence. They simply see the reality of a heart or a situation. This total vision is part of what makes them so terrifying to a fallen humanity that likes to hide in the shadows. To an angel, there are no shadows. As we look at the entire spectrum of the angelic world, we see a story of absolute loyalty and order. With the exception of the fallen ones, the angelic host exists for one purpose: to do the pleasure of the Creator. They are the perfect servants. They don't have egos to stroke or personal agendas to fulfill. Their joy is found in their obedience. Whether they are burning at the throne, fighting in the second heaven, or carrying a message to a lonely person in a desert, they do it with the same level of intensity. They don't see any task as too small or any enemy as too big. The interaction between humans and angels is also a major theme. Angels are described as ministering spirits sent out to serve those who will inherit salvation. Think about that for a second. These beings who can move stars and dismantle armies are assigned to serve you. It is a humbling thought. It shows the value that the divine places on the human soul. We are the focus of a celestial operation that involves countless legions of fire and light. When you are going through a difficult time, The biblical explanation of angels reminds you that you have reinforcements that are invisible but incredibly active. But the Bible is also very clear about one thing: we are never, ever to worship angels. When the Apostle John was so overwhelmed by the glory of an angel that he fell down to worship, the angel immediately corrected him, saying, "See that you do not do that. I am a fellow servant with you and your brothers." This is an essential boundary. Angels are magnificently powerful, but they are still creatures. They are fellow servants. Our worship is reserved for the Creator alone. The angels themselves would be offended if we tried to give them the glory that belongs to the one who made them. They point us toward the throne, not toward themselves. In the end, explaining the types of angels is about explaining the atmosphere of heaven. It is an atmosphere of vibrant, living light, of absolute authority, and of unending praise. The seraphim's fire, the cherubim's vigilance, the ophanims' movement, and the archangel's strength all work together in a perfect harmony that we can only begin to imagine. They are the witnesses of the great drama of redemption. They watched when the world was made. They shouted for joy when the foundations were laid. They bowed in awe when the Messiah was born. And they will be the ones who gather the harvest at the end of the age. The study of angels, properly called angelology, is a way for us to calibrate our spiritual compass. It reminds us that there is more to life than what we can see, touch, and taste. It reminds us that we are part of a cosmic struggle between forces of light and forces of shadow. The good news is that the forces of light are more numerous, more powerful, and already victorious. The different types of angels are the various divisions of that victorious army. They are the messengers of a king who has already won the war. So, the next time you hear someone talking about angels, don't think of the soft Hallmark version. Think of the burning seraphim. Think of the four-faced cherubim. Think of the wheel within the wheel. Think of Michael leading the charge and Gabriel delivering the word. Think of the millions upon millions of celestial beings who are right now involved in the management of the universe and the protection of the faithful. The unseen world is crowded, it is active, and it is beautiful beyond description. We live in a world of wonders, guarded by the host of heaven, and the more we understand these creatures, the more we can appreciate the magnitude of the one they serve. The curtain is pulled back, the types are explained, and the majesty of the celestial realm is laid bare. We are not alone, and the light is closer than you think. Stay aware, stay focused on the King, and remember that the burning ones are on your side. Thank you for walking through the celestial hierarchy with me. It's a journey that takes us from the humble dust of earth to the very hearth of the divine presence.